Cultivating gratitude is about choosing to focus on things you are grateful for and appreciate. Fostering this attitude can improve emotional well being and decrease stress. Find a comfortable position. Inhale a deep breath, gently hold it, then release stress and tension with your exhale. Inhale another deep breath, this time releasing negative thoughts as you exhale. Your mind will wander at times, and that is okay. Try to shift your perspective. I am grateful for my mind and its capability to think in so many directions. Then refocus yourself by noticing your gentle, steady breathing. Gratitude can be developed like a muscle. To increase your feelings of gratitude, start by taking time to identify things you are thankful for and appreciate in your life. Think about an object you are thankful for. Maybe there's even something nearby. What do you appreciate about this object? How does it improve or simplify your life? Next, think about a person you are grateful for. How is your life enhanced by this person? What are the qualities they possess that you appreciate? What is an experience you appreciate? This can be something as simple as enjoying a hot shower or a good meal. What is an attribute you appreciate about yourself? Perhaps you are thankful for an ability you have, your health, your capacity for hope, your willingness to try new things. Name as many as you like. If you're feeling stuck, offer gratitude to yourself for taking the time to meditate. Cultivating gratitude, developing this perspective, and promoting your emotional well being in this way requires intention and dedication. Make a commitment to yourself right now. Perhaps that commitment is to make a daily gratitude list with at least 3 items. Maybe it means telling one person each day something about them that makes you thankful. Perhaps you will commit to finding silver linings. You deserve to feel fulfilled, and committing to a gratitude practice can help improve your life satisfaction. Thank you for being here. I am grateful for you.